Welcome to section 5.2. Today we are adding and subtracting fractions. So we need to go over a couple rules before we begin. First of all, you have to have common denominators. Okay, and we've learned from last chapter that in order to get common denominators, we're going to find the LCD. We need to find a common multiple of both numbers. If you already have common denominators, like in this question, you don't have to worry about it. But we must have common denominators. And the reason we have to have common denominators is because we need to be adding and subtracting from the same whole. And the whole in a fraction always is indicated by what the denominator is. Okay, so we can't take a third from a half because it's a different piece. Okay, you're taking it like from a different type of pizza. One pizza is cut up into 10 pieces, the other is cut up into 4. You're obviously going to want to eat a pizza or a slice of pizza from the one that's cut up into 4 pieces. Okay, we can't compare the two, nor would you swap the two or change the two out because they're representing different parts of a different whole. Okay, so we have to have the same denominator which represents the same whole. After you have that, you're going to add or subtract the numerator. Okay, so add or subtract the numerator. And then at that point, you're going to keep the denominator the same. Keep the denominator the same. And the reason we keep it the same is because, once again, you're comparing it to the same whole. If I have 5/9 and I'm adding 2/9 to it, we're adding 1/9 plus 1/9, which would be 7/9. So you're going to keep it the same. It's representing the same whole. When you're all the way done, you're always going to want to simplify your answer, if it can be simplified. Okay, so you're going to have the common denominator. After you have your common denominator and rename your fractions, you're going to add or subtract the numerator and keep the denominator the same. Okay, and then you're going to simplify. So for this one, I already have common denominators, and these are called like fractions. And like fractions are fractions with the same denominator. When I have like fractions, my Psycho pen here still isn't working. You're just going to add or subtract the numerator because I already have, this same whole. So I have 5 plus 2, which is 7. And my denominator is a 9. It's 7/9. And that's my answer. That's all I have to do. I can't simplify it, so that's my solution, 7/9. Now I have 1/2 plus 1/6. So we want to find the LCD of 2 and 6. Well, I can easily find this, and some of you are already going to know it, just by listing the multiples. So my LCD is 6, okay, which means I'm going to keep 1/6 the same, and I'm going to rename 1/2. Now, when you rename a fraction, it still represents the same thing. It's just now renamed as an equivalent fraction with a different denominator and numerator. And because we're renaming it, we're going to have to do the same thing to the top as we do to the bottom. So 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to multiply my 1 times 3 as well to get 3/6. Okay, so now I have 3/6 plus 1/6. And I'm adding again. So I'm going to take my numerators and do 3 plus 1, which is 4. My 6 stays the same. Now I need to simplify. So I know that 2 can go into both 4 and 6. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And my answer is 2/3. 2/3 is my solution. Okay, this is another set of problems where they have unlike fractions. So the first thing I'm going to do is rename. So I'm going to find my LCD of 6 and 8. So I have 8 and 6. 16 and 12. 24 and 18. And then you'll notice that I have a 24. So 24 is going to be the LCD for 8 and 6. So in this problem, I'm going to have to change both of them. I'm going to have to change 7/8 to a fraction with 24 as the denominator. And I'm also going to have to change 5/6 to fractions with 24 as the denominator. Okay, now remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. So if I take 8 times 3, which is 24, and that's what I want, I'm going to take 7 times 3, which is 21. If I'm taking 6 times 4, which is 24, I'm going to take 5 times 4, which is 20. And now I'm subtracting. So I have 21 24ths minus 20 24ths. I subtract my numerators. 21 minus 20 is 1. My denominator stays the same. And there's my solution, 1/24. 7/8 plus 3/4. So once again, I need to find an LCD to rename my fraction. And this one, more than likely, you're going to know right off the top of your head that LCD is 8. Okay, so 7/8 stays the same. 3/4 I'm going to go ahead and rename with 8 as the denominator. Okay, so 4 times 2 is 8. Therefore, I'm going to take 3 times 2, which is 6. So I have 7/8 plus 3/4. Here's my lovely pen. Oops, I wasn't supposed to write 3/4 anyways. Fix my 7 here. So I have 7/8 plus 6/8. My pen will cooperate. There we go. So I'm going to add my numerators. 7 plus 6 is 13. My denominator stays the same. Well, I need to change my improper fraction to a mixed number. So if you remember, this is when I take 8 and divide it into 3. I'm sorry, 8 into 13. So 8 goes into 13 one whole time. When I subtract, I get 5, so it's a remainder of 5. Okay, the 1 is my whole number, so I have 1. The remainder is my numerator, and my denominator stays the same because we're talking about the same whole, eighths. So 1 5/8 is my answer. And we are on to our last problem. So I need to rename again. So my LCD I'm going to find by taking 4 and 7. So I have 8, 12, oops, skip in here, 16, 20, 24. For 7, I have 7, 14, 21, 28, and I know my next one here will be 28 as well. Okay, so 28 is going to be my LCD. So I need to change both of them to fractions with 28 as my denominator. Okay, so same deal, we're going to rename. Whatever I do to the denominator, I'm going to do to the numerator. So 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to do 3 times 7, which is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. So I'm going to do 2 times 4, which is 8. So now my new problem is 21 28ths minus 8 28ths. Now if I take 21 minus 8, okay, and if you're getting stuck, please don't be afraid to do this, okay? You get 13. So I have 13 28ths. Nothing can go into 13 and 28, so I am done. Okay? So what your process is you're going to find your LCD, rename if you have to. Make sure when you rename, you change both the numerator and denominator according to your LCD. After that, you're going to add or subtract the numerators, keeping the denominator the same, and then you'll simplify your answer. Okay, as always, if you have any questions, make sure you ask Mr. Coolinger or I tomorrow. Make sure you understand why the denominator has to be the same. That's a very key, important part. And if you do not understand why the denominators have to be the same, that's something you should be asking us tomorrow as well. It's a great extended response question on a quiz or a test, so you're going to want to know why that works. Okay, so thanks for watching.